off the streets since March the 7th, 2013, when we initially started our outreach program. We are in a position with this bill to be able to prioritize a solution. Identifying the root of the problems inside the shelters, they should be for an emergency. We have individuals in the shelter that have been there way over 3, 4, 5 years. This has been identified through data that we can be presenting as well. These individuals, they're in the shelters due to some of the reasons that are fixable. You know, whether it's their low income, whether it's their substance abuse issue, whether it's their alcoholism, because they are able to function in a shelter still having these issues present at all times. That's why it becomes a danger as well as a situation where they're confined without getting the wraparound services that they need to move forward and thrive. So I'm excited about this bill. I pray that each and every one of you will have the opportunity to give it a chance so that we can be a part of ending homelessness in our city of Baltimore. And I thank you very much for listening.
Good morning. One of the things I think it's important for us to understand is that this problem is not going away. Our homeless population is growing. And we have done very little as a city to work with community. And this task force is about aligning the entities that struggle to do work independently to work together. And that will be a definite change in the city of Baltimore, this thing called collaboration that we talk about, but we rarely see. Another key aspect is I sat here 3 years ago in 2015 and had a piece of legislation that we called Safety and Security in Shelters. And at that time, I presented some stark data about why homeless folks were not going into shelters. And that centered around the fact that the police department were being called to the main city shelter about 5 times a day or more. Who would want to live in a place where the police are showing up that frequently? Nobody. Because it tells you, it connotes that it is not safe. Now, we've done nothing, right, to address that, in my opinion, right? These shelters still are not safe places, and our homeless tell us that every day. So until we start to address some of those issues and concerns, we're going to have problems. The last point I want to make is the mayor's office had some funding available, and I'm very hopeful that the awards will be made in the next couple of weeks. But I worked with Ms. Flowers, and we submitted a proposal to do a transition for some homeless youth. And we said that for $4,000 per homeless youth, we would help them transition into permanent housing. And that $4,000 will go to navigators to provide services and supports to pay for things that they don't have, that they need, whether it's clothing, whether it's transportation, whether it's identification, and that we would demonstrate that for very, very little expense, we could help them get off the street. And I am hopeful that we can come back in the next several months and tell you all how successful that program, that can be a model that could come out of this task force. Thank you. We encourage your support, desperately needed support.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Al Hathaway. I'm the pastor at Union Baptist Church. We are now celebrating 167 years of service. I was struck in one of my circles, one of my ministry teams, was taking items to a shelter for children. And it struck me that there were homeless children right there within the shadow of our church who attend public schools. It stunned me, and I began to explore the fact that we have a rising number of persons in various age groups who find themselves homeless. And so as a representative of the Ministers' Conference of Baltimore, I believe we have to look not only at what is working, but what is not working. One of the strengths of the faith community has been that it does respond to its mandate to serve the last, the least, and the lost, because we do believe that for as much as you've done unto the least of these, you've done unto me. And so we look at models like Light Street Presbyterian Church that began with a homeless shelter, that began to move to group housing, began as we connected them with jobs with downtown partnerships, began to move persons into their own housing accommodations, that I realized that we have not scaled that in Baltimore. And I believe we do have the opportunity, when you look at the cast of persons who will be a part of this study team, that we could really scale efforts, where we're not talking about programs, but we're talking about a collective and institutional response to the needs of persons who are homeless. And so I'm here because I did definitely support the work of Sister Flowers, and in deep respect for your chair, Delegate Glenn, and of course Sister Trueheart is a beloved person, and we all unite in our voice to make certain that you as a delegation support the creation of a task force to look comprehensively at addressing the needs of homeless residents in our community, realizing that they come from different ethnic groups, they come from different social economic levels, they come from different age groups as well. And so I do ask that you support this. We do have to make certain that we move persons from the uncertainty of homelessness to the certainty of a permanent residence.
Okay, are there any questions for the sponsor or any members of the panel? Delegate Wells.
Do it again. Okay, there we go. Thank you for your presentation. And this is a really important issue we see in Baltimore City. I appreciate you all taking the lead on this. This is the one thing I want to lift up, and then as we think about the partners that bring to the table, that we are including folks from the business community, because we know that underemployment is a big part of it. So I would hope that I see some of the various folks that are kind of listed to be appointed by the mayor, the governor, but that you're mindful about that. And then also schools, because there are a lot of children in our city schools that are homeless. And I know that presents a unique challenge for those children, for their families, and also for city schools. So just wanted to mention that to the group as well. But thank you for taking the lead on this.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any Delegate Boyce, followed by Delegate Moses.
Good morning. Thank you so much. This is certainly a personal issue for me as well. I do want to follow up on Delegate Wells' point about whether or not there'll be LGBTQ individuals on this task force, because a lot of these homeless youth are homeless due to being put out of their homes because they have expressed their who they are. And so I'm hoping that someone from that organization will be at this group, be within this task force. But I do want to ask how this improves or compares to what the city has apparently been trying to do with coordinated services, and is it just not working? And we're looking to improve it even more, because I know the city was working on more of a coordinated plan as well, just especially as it relates to services, getting people to services as quickly as possible and bringing together a cohort of individuals to do that. So just trying to, how does this help enhance that at any point? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Enhancing it would be the opportunity for collaboration and partnerships. The city efforts, the barriers that they are up against when it comes to HUD standards of homelessness, when it comes to the standards that they have to abide by every day, sometimes can be a hindrance on some of our most challenging homeless individuals. And yes, we do have some LGBT interests as well, but this task force will be able to function with the mentorship and guidance as a great support to Baltimore City, but then have that independent outlook to be able to function non-discriminating against individuals that are dealing with homelessness.
One quick follow-up question is, and is this actually the reaction, because I know there's a couple of service providers that are suffering because of HUD's federal Housing First model that is essentially putting them out of business because they have more of a sobering approach than a just place people in housing approach. So I'm wondering, is this a call to action because of that as well?
Well, I think that's been a barrier, and
Right.
working together, we're going to try to see what we can do to overcome those barriers. And I will make sure that an amendment is done to accommodate your suggestion as well as Delegate Wells' suggestion.
Thank you, ma'am.
Delegate Wilson.
Yeah, one of the things that's important, if I may, add is, the use of non-federal funds. While federal funds do, provide the bulk of our funding stream, we can create carve-outs, that don't touch the federal funds, that thus reduce the barriers and the bureaucracy around housing folks. And I think we've got to be creative in that vein to ensure that we are maximizing how we spend our.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna follow to Madam Trueheart, and I'm hoping so, because the programs that do get federal money right now and are being forced to operate during this program are now going to lose money and then cannot operate a program that they have success barriers. I know Madam Flowers was at our delegation meeting. We talked about ineffective programming, and so it is one of my worries that the programs that are working well because of this Housing First model will lose money and will not be able to provide the services that they have been able to in the past.
And we also have some mindsets that we have to change as well. There are some people who are wedded to old practices, and they need to come into the 21st century and come up with new practices.
Okay, are there any further questions from the delegation? Delegate Mosby has withdrawn his question. I think that concludes our hearing on House Bill 2.
We have
Do you
some
have
other
additional?
people, I think, who might have wanted to testify,
Sure.
including the mayor's office, maybe? No? Okay.
Are there any other members from the public that wish to testify in favor of House Bill 2? Please come on up. Good morning, and if you can just state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Good morning. My name is Trina Palmore, and I'm the new executive director with Belvedere Real Care Providers Network, where Christina Flowers is the chief operating officer. And since I've been working with her, I've discovered that she has a unique gift, which is the ability to connect with people on a level that some may not be able to do. And so as we tackle this problem of homelessness, we can take her gifts and use them to abate the problem. And everyone have solutions and ideas about what to do and how to do this, but I believe that this task force will be able to come up with a to-do list of really working together to abate the problem. And so, it certainly is a people problem, and I just want to say that I believe in the power of people, and I believe that this task force will bring people together to help solve this problem. And I want to say this about Minister Flowers, and that is, there's stuff going on in her mind, like even now, that will help us. And so it's a matter of all of us pulling things out of our minds to help this problem. And lastly, I want to say this. I'm hoping that the task force will be able to take a field trip to some of the encampments that she visits all the time. Because when we see how other people live and connect with other people, it will help us to solve their problems. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hi, my name is Jillian Butts. I work for Ms. Flowers as well as an office manager, and I have been homeless for about 2 years up until about 6 weeks ago. And she helped me find housing. I've been homeless mostly in Anne Arundel County and then ended up in Baltimore City. I've been in a shelter in Baltimore City for about 6 weeks. My experience there was good. I was in an all women's overflow shelter. However, in the 6 weeks that I was there, I was never approached by anyone, offered any resources. I was incredibly grateful for the shelter, the food, and a place to bathe. I'm sure it kept me alive. But as far as getting out of the situation, no resources were ever offered to me. The Housing First model, I think, is fantastic. Being homeless is a hard situation to get yourself out of, and having a place to call home is vital to really psychologically get yourself together to get yourself out of that situation. I think that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Are there questions of this panel? Okay, thank you so very much. Be safe. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to testify in support of the bill? Is there anyone wishing to testify in opposition to the bill? Thank you. The bill hearing is now concluded for House Bill 2. We will move on to House Bill 26, Delegate 11.
I'm going to bring right now up with me so we can be efficient. I have Grace and Lois from Cinnamon Butter and
All right, Bestman, I got you. You didn't call. If it's anybody.
Good morning, everybody. So I was raised to believe that every person's vote should count, and that we're Democrats and parties.